You guys have to watch this creepy video.
Going for a walk and I look up and I see my neighbors. The hell?
Like, what? The lights flickering and all of them turning to her at the same time is just so creepy. But I think the creepiest part is that this is the one and only video she's posted, and she hasn't posted for 2 weeks. This is her account. The last time she posted was October 14th, I believe. So this begs the question, is this person okay? Let me know what you guys think about this in the comment section.
This photo is of the Cincinnati crawler. It was taken by a family who caught him in their home in 1974, but he escaped shortly afterwards. So in 1974, the Johnson family in Cincinnati noticed a couple weird things happening in their home. The 14-year-old daughter, Claire, would complain about seeing glowing eyes outside of her window at night. And then one night, the youngest son, Timmy, was laying in bed in the dark when he felt the family dog jump up onto his bed. But when he went to go pet it, it was not the dog. It was the crawler, who police still believe was responsible for the disappearance of 4 other boys in the area. Some believe that he was an escaped convict, while others actually believe that he was the victim of human experiments happening in the area that may have been conducted by the family's dad. Claire snapped this photo of him before he escaped, but he was never found since. Nothing scares me like Appalachia. So this Thanksgiving, Paige Hills was meeting her boyfriend's family for the first time in Appalachia. And basically, immediately upon driving into the area, she starts getting a bad feeling. She chalks it up to nerves, but it keeps getting worse that night. The family was all having dinner inside, but there was a window open. And Paige starts to hear whistling coming from the woods through the window. She doesn't really think anything of it because maybe someone was outside smoking, but that night the whistling comes back, louder. And on top of that, it sounds like someone is saying her name over and over and over again. So she goes to the window to see what's up, and there's just 2 red eyes staring back at her from the woods. The next morning at breakfast, she asked the family what that could have been, and they immediately looked like they saw a ghost. They told her to never speak of it ever again, and the next time she hears something, no she didn't. So Paige is freaked out, but she has another night in the house. And that's when her boyfriend pulls her aside to show her this photo. This is what their trail cam caught the night before, and she was to never mention it again.
Normal looking photos that have a disturbing backstory, part 28. While this appears to be a book with typical wear and tear, the damage at the bottom is from a bullet hole. The math book belongs to 10-year-old Uzziah Garcia, who along with 18 other students died in the Robb Elementary School shooting that occurred just a few months ago. This mirror selfie shows Giovanni Bezerra, a Brazilian anesthetist, who was arrested after assaulting a pregnant woman during her C-section. He heavily sedated her and placed his private part in her mouth for 10 minutes, and is seen in a hidden camera wiping her face with gauze after he was done. This photo shows a group of US airmen who were taken as prisoners of war by Japanese soldiers in 1945. 8 of the 11 men were dissected while they were still alive, and the 3 others were placed in custody. This photo shows Michael and Susan Kuhnhausen after being married for 18 years. In 2006, Michael hired a hitman to kill his wife. However, Susan choked the man with her bare hand, saying, "Tell me who sent you here, and I'll call you an ambulance."
Have you seen the movie Paranormal Activity, the marked ones?
Oh, yeah.
You know how their Ouija board is the Simon Says toy?
Yeah.
So we found the exact same toy. So I started messing with it. I was like, are there any ghosts here? We go back into the truck. We parked in the middle of a parking lot for some reason. No other car. Literally the moon is the only thing like lighting the parking lot. Because it's nighttime, we're like, let's start saying scary stories. Now my friend is saying her scary story when she was talking about the possession going on in her story. the radio of her truck turned on. We couldn't figure out what the radio was saying, but it was like, it was loud. And then my friend looked at her phone because it was connected to her phone. She drops her phone and she screams and starts crying. And now she's telling us, guys, we have to pray. Like, we have to pray right now. And now me and my friend Ashley are like, what the fuck? Okay, yeah. So we just start grabbing, we hold each other's hands and we start praying. And then my friend Annette was like, guys, I swear to you, when I looked at my phone to see what was playing or to at least pause what it was, it said, the devil is yelling. And when she was explaining that, at the exact same moment, in this empty parking lot, a random nun walks right in front of the truck. There's no church nearby. It's 10:30 at night. And it just so happened that this nun comes right when this whole scary stuff was happening.
Have you heard the urban legend of Carmen Winstead? Disclaimer, this video is for entertainment purposes only. I repeat, this video is for entertainment purposes only. If you get scared easily, you might want to click off this video. This story goes way back. Before there were creepypastas, there was something called chain mail, where you would be emailed these scary stories, and if you didn't send them to 15 other people, something bad would happen to you. And the most popular chainmail scary story was that of Carmen Winstead. There was a girl named Carmen who moved to a new school and didn't have many friends, but eventually she found a friend group of 5 girls. They all became best friends until Carmen realized that the girls were talking about her behind her back. Not only were they talking about her, but they were also spreading rumors about her, saying that she wipes snot on people and that she lives in the underground sewer system. Little did these girls know that their bullying would have the worst consequences ever. Part 2 is posted now.
Never go down Evangeline Road, Louisiana. 2015, a group of urban explorers go searching for a local legend. This creature is said to be the spawn from a satanic ritual performed by a group of outcast circus performers in the late 1900s. They were deep in the woods and night was fast approaching, so they decided to set up camp. But it's what happened when one of the explorers went to pee that sent shivers down my spine. It was way darker than normal that night. The man walked about 10 feet from the fire and behind a tree. But when he turned around to go back to camp, everyone was gone, and the woods was completely silent. He called up a friend to tell him what had happened so that if he doesn't come back, someone would know why. When the rangers got to the campsite, the scene was horrific. Blood and body parts were everywhere. What happened to the explorers, and why didn't he tell his friend that the others were dead?
Jeff the Killer.
911, what's your emergency? Please send the police. Calm down. What's the situation?
There's a madman in my house. He killed both my parents.
Alright, calm down. What's your name?
James.
James, are you hiding?
I'm hiding in the closet.
Okay, that's good. Can you give me the description of the mad killer?
He's wearing a black pants. And his face is burnt with cuts on the corners of his mouth. Please send help.
We're doing our best, James. I need you to be quiet.
Okay. I'll be quiet.
Alright, good. Can you give me your address? James, can you give me your address? Alright, we're sending the police your way.
He's in front of the closet.
James, be perfectly quiet. Help is on the way. James? James? Hello? James!
The Ghost of the Bald Woman. One day, when I got pretty late returning from work, I had to get a jeepney. When it finally picked me up from the stop, I went and sat beside 2 girls. As we passed by a mental hospital, a lady with her hospital gown stood there, with her hand pointing that she wanted a ride. She was bald, and her face was pale white. Just as she was about to get into the vehicle, the driver slammed on the gas and rode away. We were confused, But when we looked over at the driver, he was shell-shocked and scared. I asked him why we had left the lady behind. He replied that the person we saw was not a lady. What I saw next has scarred me forever. The lady was on all fours, crawling inhumanely fast as she chased us. Her face was demented, and her eyes pitch black. Just as we lost sight of her, she made a reappearance. Her dress was dirty with mud and blood. We were shivering with fear. And then she jumped on the jeepney. She hung by her fingers to the speeding jeepney and lifted her face. She revealed the insanely sharp teeth in her mouth. She was scaring everyone on the ride, and that is when I hit her with my bag, causing her to fly off. I saw her standing bruised on the road, like a demon. We rushed off the ride as soon as we could. I went to a 7-Eleven nearby to grab a snack. The salesman saw my worried face and asked if everything was okay. I told him what had happened, and he said it was the ghost of an old cancer patient who now haunts people near the hospital she died at.
This is why I can't do Ring cameras. So this photo was taken at 3 a.m. on a Ring camera just outside of Spokane, Washington on March 17th, 2017. Which, as if that's not scary enough, the same man was seen photographed on 13 other Ring cameras in the area, all at 3 a.m. At first, police believed it was an attack orchestrated by a group of people, but a closer look made them realize it was the same man. One witness claimed she was awoken at 3 a.m. to what sounded like a baby crying, and that's when she got the alert that something was seen on her Ring camera. She also claimed that since this happened, she's felt like someone's been watching her. This man was never found by police, but a user on Reddit based in Chicago recently posted that she also saw something weird on her Ring camera. She said her and her neighbors all got an alert at 3 in the morning that someone wearing a mask was seen at their door. This is why you have to be careful who you let into your Halloween parties. So this is a photo of who police believed was a guest at a Halloween party in Rochester, New York in the 1940s. The party was being thrown by Jack and Amelia Layton, and they actually noticed that this guest was outside of the party watching the guests through a window. The report claims that Amelia believed the guest was her friend Jan, who tended to go above and beyond for Halloween, creating very scary costumes. So she let this person in believing it was her friend Jan. But then 20 minutes later, Jan shows up, and that guest could not be found anywhere. So Amelia starts running around the party asking everyone if they knew who that guest was, and no one had recognized that person. So she goes into her daughter's room, who was playing while the party was happening. And the police report states that the only thing there left of Amelia's daughter was a bloody shoe. 4 other reports of this guest being at parties that night were called into police, and all of them resulted in missing children's cases. The identity of this person has never been found, and none of the kids have been found either.
Disturbing things caught on camera. Lauren Combs lives in an isolated area and enjoys spending time with her 2 pets. She would upload videos about her 2 pets to the internet until one day strange events started happening. First, while talking to her sister in the kitchen, a bottle suddenly fell on the table. Next, while exploring her backyard, she noticed a half-dead tree with holes. After closing up on the tree, she finds the skull of a dead animal. If that wasn't creepy and disturbing enough, wait until you see this. If this creeped you out, hit the plus sign.
Do you guys remember? Humans can lick too. This was one of the most popular scary stories when I was a kid. Disclaimer, this video is for entertainment purposes only. The story goes like there was a young girl who was staying home alone one night while her parents went out. They were going to be home early the next morning, but they were confident that the girl would be okay because she had her dog to protect her. Before the girl went to bed, she locked every single window and door in the house, except there was one window in the basement that wouldn't close. After several minutes of trying, the girl finally got the window closed, but it wouldn't lock. The lock was stuck. She thought, it'll be fine, and she started to get herself ready for bed. The girl laid down for bed around 8 o'clock, and her dog went to lay under her bed. She went to say goodnight to her dog and stuck her hand under her bed so that her dog could lick it. She woke up a couple hours later with a weird feeling, wanted to see if her dog was still under her bed, so she put her hand down there, and her dog licked it. A couple hours later, the same thing, her dog licked her hand. I didn't realize the story would be longer than a minute, so